Ma'am.
Am I allowed to use our special name for you?
That would be fine with me.
Well, I'm going to tell you, but nobody else can use it but me.
Okay.
Are we currently live?
We are
Oh.
live. Oh,
Well, first of all, let me just briefly welcome everyone back. As you know, we are now in a virtual reality of the Public Safety excuse me, and Administration Subcommittee for the 2021 session. We all know that we have had during the interim many of our committee meetings and joint meetings and task force and et cetera by Zoom. And this is a real testament in many ways, I think, of the use of technology and how the General Assembly really prepared for the use of technology sort of under these particular circumstances and just trying to make our hearings more accessible to the public. The overall COVID-19 pandemic has really accelerated that. But I think we can all be very appreciative of the fact that uh, it is available and we are able to meet virtually and try to stay as safe as we possibly can in the pandemic while also conducting the state's business, which we were hired to do, and simultaneously provide as much public access as possible in doing our job and doing our work. The one thing I just wanted to say is, before we get started, is that this is a sort of a welcome back public safety subcommittee. We do it every year in under normal circumstances, and I just thought that it would be a great idea for us to walk through some of the big issues that may be on our radar for this particular session, and some procedural things of how we are going to operate, which we'll probably cover in our um, opening meeting with the chair and our full committee, but just to reiterate how we specifically will be operating in some of our hearings that will be joint with the Senate. I do want to take a moment to recognize the members of the committee, starting with our vice chair, the one and only Delegate Susie Proctor. Welcome back, Vice Chair. I'm so glad to see you.
thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and looking forward to continuing to work with you. We also are welcome back Delegate Gabriel A. Severa. Um, we are so glad to see you back and looking forward to working with you again in this particular session in 2021. And we have none only than Delegate Mike McKay from Western Maryland, part of our state.
Yay.
Um,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
we're so glad to see you back on the committee as well, subcommittee as well, and I think if I can say this, that it is comforting to know to a certain degree that as we are working through so many other challenges, that we have well-versed committee members with experience on the issues that we're going to be confronted with, and that will make it a lot easier as we move forward. I do want to recognize our new committee staff. He's no stranger to this subcommittee, and that is Mr. Ken Weaver. We all met him officially in his new capacity in our full committee meeting. He's very capable and has jumped in and just done a tremendous job in a smooth transition with this subcommittee so far. So we welcome you, Mr. Weaver. And we also have none other than Ms. Werheim, our appropriation staff, who's assigned to Public Safety Administration. Um, and we just look forward to our usual group of subcommittee members working through the issues like we normally do, and putting together a product that we can be proud of to present to the full committee at the appropriate time. and will pass on to the general full body and our final product with the budget once that process moves through the legislative session. There are a couple of things, and I'm just want to highlight. This is not going to be a very long meeting. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight, and that is really, um, excuse me, uh, the fact that we are meeting virtually. And I think we all have our schedules as far as when our subcommittee is going to meet. And the thing that I just wanted to reiterate, because I'm not sure whether we actually covered it in detail about how our joint budget hearings will move forward. As you know, traditionally, we alternate years as far as which house has the budget first. This year, it is the house that would have had the budget first. However, we will be hearing those common agency hearings together jointly with the Senate. And we will begin with Public Safety Administration presiding over that budget hearing first. And then we will alternate with each remaining budget hearing as it comes up. So we will start first, and then we will just alternate back and forth as far as which chair presides over the subcommittee hearings. Just like our usual form when we have joint briefings between the House and the Senate, the chair for the respective House will recognize those members on the subcommittee who serve in that particular House. All questions from the subcommittee of PSA as chair, I will recognize, and in my absence, the vice chair will recognize those members. The same thing is true with the Senate. The Senate will recognize members of the Senate who have questions from the Senate, and I'm not sure, but I think there is a vice chair that would do the same in the absence, or a designated person in the absence of the Senate chair. So that's nothing really new on how we will be doing that. The one thing that I do want to mention is that we do have some changes in as far as a couple of agencies. First, you know that this particular subcommittee has jurisdiction over many of our state agencies. In 2019, the legislature created a new agency, really sort of growing out of the comptroller's office, which is the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. So that is going to be a new agency whose budget we're going to hear. I just want to put on everyone's radar that because it is a new agency, there will probably be issues that will be on our radar as far as staffing, as far as levels of funding, as it looks as we look at what their mandate is and whether there are sufficient issues with that. Also, some issues that may come up, as they always do, with ongoing established agencies, just in the operations of the agency, and some issues that may come up as well. But I just want to put on everyone's radar that we will be hearing that agency's budget, and it is a newly created agency. So it's not one that we're just being reassigned. It is a brand new agency that's created as the result of the 2019 legislation. A couple of other things I just want to highlight, not really get into detail in this particular subcommittee meeting, so to speak. But we will have some, issues with some of our larger agencies that we probably want to put on our radar. I will just sort of name them In this order, the State Department of Assessment and Taxation. As you know, we've had some issues over the last couple of years as it relates to calculation of taxes, um, how that is done, and some staffing issues, which we probably will be addressing. The judiciary and the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services are two very large issues, and who have uh, been tremendously impacted by the pandemic from various issues and from various perspectives. I'm not going to get into that at this juncture, but just know that because they are very large issues that deal with the public, judiciary, with landlord-tenant issues that are out there, also with how they're handling the backlog of cases that's out there, the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, inmate issues, staffing issues as it relates to safety with the pandemic, and also how agencies are surviving the pandemic effectively, as we know many of our workers and our state workers are unfortunately being affected with COVID-19, with either themselves having contracted that particular disease or family members that may be impacting their work schedules as well. The other thing that I just want to sort of highlight is uh, the Workers' Compensation Commission. We will probably be looking at some issues as it relates to how that particular commission has been impacted by COVID-19 as well. And just two other agencies, the Attorney General and Juvenile Services, as obviously as well as one of our larger agencies. And we want to make sure that our children, our juveniles are being safely protected during the pandemic, and how we can, address issues that may come up with them. The one thing I will say about the Attorney General's office is that last budget cycle, they really, and I think probably in the interim as well, have taken a hit with and some cuts. So we want to also, keep that on our radar as we're moving forward. Generally speaking, I think basically we will continue to move through the process of this subcommittee as we have during the interim. The chair has basically instructed all of us, I think, very effectively of how to find our little blue hand, to highlight it when we want to be called on or recognized by the chair for questions. It's going to be new for myself as well, so I'm sure that we may have some glitches at the very beginning, but nothing that we can't overcome very, very, very quickly. And the other thing that I would just reiterate is, Mr. Weaver, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we do have a hard date that's coming up as far as requests for bills, bill requests. Is that correct? Which is tomorrow, I think. And so, as it relates to any issues, as it relates to that may have a bill that you want to get a request in that may come to our subcommittee, you might want to jump on that, fairly quick. But overall, as chair, I am anticipating maybe not so many bills as perhaps budget language, joint chairman reports, um, recommendations, things along those lines. And we'll just have to see where we are at the early stages of the session. Because we are doing things jointly, because we are having joint hearings with the Senate, please be mindful that probably the process is cut in half. So we will be moving very rapidly on our budget hearings. And Mr. Weaver, you may have this information available. Do you have any idea of generally when our hard stop is and when we will be cease having budget hearings jointly with the Senate? It's coming up fairly quick, I know.
Yeah, I would just say that we are going to have our first hearing next Thursday,
Mhm.
and then we are going to roll all the way through February. And I believe the first week in March, there's one final hearing. And
Okay.
that will be in terms of the straight budget hearings. And then everything will kind of shift to capital after that.
Yeah.
Capital and full committee.
And can you just provide for the members of the subcommittee, including myself, what our joint hearing schedule date and times are, just the subcommittee, so we can just plug that in again.
Yeah, well, all of the budget hearings are going to take place Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, beginning at 1:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone, we might just want to, I mean, I know everybody has their own way of doing the schedule, but just sort of black out or gray out, those particular dates and times for our budget hearings. And I'm personally looking forward to 2021. We can all sort of shake our heads and, basically know that we have gone through some very historic times from 2020 through 2020 and leading into 2021. And I just commend every staff member, every staff person, every member of this subcommittee and the appropriations committee. I'll just go out one limb further, and really doing a tremendous job and doing our jobs, which the people have elected us to do, and also the staff in doing their jobs and helping us to do that. This is a very, very historic, unique situation, not only for the state of Maryland, but for I think all state legislators in trying to do the state's business under very, very unique circumstances. And so if there's ever any question on process of how we are doing something, please do not hesitate to ask myself, the vice chair, or our staff on the committee, because it is we do have things set up, but as we're doing this the first time, there may be questions on how we do something and get it done correctly. And so with that, I just want to, before giving the vice chair an opportunity to say something as well, just ask Mr. Weaver or Mr. Werheim if there's anything that they would like to add as it relates to testimony online and public testimony from witnesses that we may want to address at this time. And if not, we can do it at a later time before our first, right before our first joint hearing.
Ken, do you want me to go ahead and field this one?
Yeah, sure. I can add to it as well, but go ahead.
Okay, sure. So 48 hours, and that would be business hours prior to a hearing. So a hearing on Monday, for example, would have the portal open on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tuesday would be open on Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So the portal will open up 48 hours prior. They'll have to have a MGA account, which they can easily register for. It's right up in the upper right-hand corner of the home screen. There's also a tutorial on how to sign up for bill testimony that you can watch. It'll be the same process for budget testimony. Okay, but yeah, and then everything really, it's out of the staff's hands. It's all electronic and gets magically uploaded from that beautiful portal. Yay.
And
I would
no, go right ahead, Mr. Weaver. Ken.
Yeah, just to add to that, I would just say that once all of that is collected, we as committee staff are going to put everything together into the agenda, so you all will be able to see who's going to be there aside from the agency, if there is in fact going to be witness testimony, and it will generally run the same as we always have, hopefully without a hitch.
Okay. All right. Okay. thank you so much, Vice Chair Proctor. Good to see you. And I'm turning it over to you for any comments that you would like to have for the subcommittee.
Well, just thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think again this year we have some very interesting people to work with. We all get along and do our part, so it's going to be quite an interesting year. I do have a concern that maybe it goes to the staff. I know that we're going to be very particular about attendance, and I know that we've been asked to always be on screen. But what happens, like next Thursday of this week, I think I have a bill hearing. Is there a procedure for us to leave the subcommittee? And how do you come back in?
You're just utilizing that same Zoom link. You'll just leave the way you would any other hearing, text Keith, let him know. Remember that we are not utilizing the chat function, but you could just text the chair, let him know, text Ken, myself, and you just leave the way you would any other meeting.
Okay, so there's no waiting for somebody to bring you in from the waiting.
Well, you will enter the waiting room and then you'd have to be admitted from the waiting room again. That's very simple.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was my only, I guess, concern. I wanted to make sure that we were following protocol when we did have to leave. And I guess right now I have a problem because I have a bill hearing and a committee meeting at the same time. So it's interesting working these times.
Right.
But it's going to be a good year. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I look forward to working with everybody. And we've got a wonderful staff. And as you say, Sherry is the life of the party. So we will be looking to her to keep our spirits. Thank you.
All right. Well, we are a small committee, but we are a mighty subcommittee. And with that, we know that we have had some changes on our committee, some who have gone on to the other side of the chamber, other side of the house. That was a former House member from Frederick County, and also our chair, vice chair, who was a member of every subcommittee, has gone over to the other chamber as well. And but with that, I have no doubt that we will continue to do a tremendously great job as a subcommittee. So it's only two of us, so we have time just for a brief comment. Delegate Asa and Delegate McKay, please, if you want to share something with the subcommittee, and before we conclude.
I'll let
Delegate Asa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to our Appropriations Committee staff. Good to have Mr. Weaver, Cherie, and of course, all the great staff of the Appropriations Committee supporting us again this year. I want to thank our chair as well as our vice chair for their leadership over the time that they've been at the helm of this committee. Really looking forward to working with you. And of course, my good friend, Delegate McKay, who I'm looking forward to working with this year, so ensure that we can finalize our portion of the budget for the Appropriations Committee. And then, of course, doing what we do every year, really the only job that we're constitutionally mandated to do, the General Assembly. So really good to be back. Really good to be working and serving with all of you all again this year. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to offer some brief remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Delegate McKay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple few words. Looking forward to working with our 7th year on public safety administration, and appreciate all your good leadership. And I'm really happy to see Ken staffing us. He's a good man, and I appreciate all you do. And to everybody else, let's make this a great year, because PSA is the best subcommittee within appropriations.
All right.
Hey, okay.
Here, second that motion.
So I just want to thank everyone. I know that this is a very historic day as well, because this is Martin Luther King's Day. And so I just wanted to briefly schedule a meeting. And so I do appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day on this holiday. I'm sure there may be some things going on virtually that you may have committed to. So I do thank everyone for participating. And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Appreciate it.